No, I don't know that. I don't know. All right, according to Verizon, we're at 7 o'clock. Betty, could you read the declaration of electronic meeting?
Yes. On March 31st, 2020, the Middlesex Board of Supervisors ratified a declaration of emergency issued by the county's Director of Emergency Management and adopted an ordinance to ensure continuity of county government. A copy of this ordinance can be found on the county's website under Board of Supervisors Ordinances number 81. These procedures include the ability for the Board of Supervisors and other county public entities to conduct electronic meetings. Information on how to access these meetings by video and telephone is posted on the county website. This ordinance was extended on May 5th, 2020, and again on November 4, 2020. The provisions of the ordinance and electronic meetings is in effect for a period of 6 months unless amended, rescinded, or readopted by the Board of Supervisors. An audio recording is being made of the meeting, which will be linked from the county's website. Notice of the meetings along with access information has been posted on the county's website and at the front of the historic courthouse. An electronic meeting link was also sent to those persons that have asked to be part of the board's agenda list. As each person joins the meeting, the public audio will be muted to avoid background noise and the board and staff audio will be open. If a meeting calls for public comment, the chairman will announce that the meeting is open for comments and public lines will be unmuted. Those with an audio connection should use *9, which will notify the moderator that you wish to comment. To unmute your own phone, you should use *6. Those with video capability are to use the raise hand feature to be recognized by the chair. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak, and each speaker must identify themselves when speaking. All votes will be by roll call and recorded in the minutes. Board members who leave the meeting must arrive must verbally note their attendance. If all board members are not joined by video, a roll call would be made every 2 hours to confirm a quorum.
All right, board members, do you have any questions about the process? If not, the reason for this meeting is a public hearing, a night public hearing. At this time, Betty, roll call.
Mr. Koontz?
Present.
Mr. Mansfield?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Kimbrough?
Present.
And Mr. Jesse?
Here. All members are here. At this time, I would just like to have open up the public hearing on electronic summons system ordinance. Who takes care of this, Betty?
I think that'll be me, Mr. Chairman. I have, this is Heather, and we also have a representative from the Sheriff's Office. I believe we have Lieutenant Casey Newborn available as well. But as you will recall, this is a matter that was before the board last month for your review, and you sent it to public hearing. The Sheriff's Department has installed an electronic summons equipment, and the Code of Virginia under section 17.1-279.1 allows by ordinance for there to be a nominal fee assessed for criminal and traffic matters. It's $5, and that money is to be used for the installation, implementation, maintenance, of the electronic summons equipment. It's a very short ordinance. It simply says that if you are convicted of a criminal or traffic matter in Middlesex County courts, a $5 fee will be assessed. The money will be held and appropriated for the purpose pursuant to the code.
Okay. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing on that, and then at that time, we go through the process. I guess, okay, the chairman will invite the public for public comment. Each speaker will be given the opportunity to speak during the regular meeting or public comment period. And once during the public comment period, all comments will be addressed to the Board of Supervisors and not to the audience. If you have a microphone on your computer, you can present comments through your computer. There's a raise hand feature on the Zoom meeting screen that allows you to raise your hand to make public comment. The moderator or chairperson can see your hand raised and the microphone will be unmuted so that you can make comments. If you do not have a microphone and wish to make comments, you would have to call into the meeting using the information above. If you call in by phone to comment, you can press *9, which in the same as the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen, to let the moderator and chairman know that you wish to speak. When the chairman calls on you, press *6 to unmute your phone so you can speak and make comments. You must be identified yourself, and the time limits are still placed at 3 minutes per person. At this time, Kevin, do we have someone that want to speak for the public hearing?
I'll just reiterate what you already stated, Mr. Chairman. If there's anybody in the audience who wants to raise their hand, you can use the raise hand feature on Zoom or *9 on your phone. Okay, I don't see you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, do we have any, I see we got Lieutenant Casey Newburn. Do you would like to say something, or are you good?
They have about the process or the ordinance.
Could you talk up a little bit louder? I can't quite hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have about the ordinance or the process.
Okay. All right. Well, right now we're open. I'm gonna close it, and then they're gonna open it to board members, and then they can ask questions at that time. So if we don't have anyone else, we're gonna close the public hearing, and now I'm gonna open it to the board. Board members, do you have any questions about the electronic summons system ordinance? It's very cut and dry. If not, do we have a motion to approve the electronic system ordinance?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
by John Kuntz. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Pete Mansfield. A motion by John Kuntz, probably second by Pete Mansfield. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Kuntz,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye, motion is so carried. Next will be line B, airport land sale. Heather?
Yes, sir. Kevin, can I ask of you to pull up the resolution from the packet, please? Or if I can share, there you go, thank you. It's on page 129. Another matter the board directed us to send the staff to send a public hearing is the proposal to sell 1.569 acres of the Hummel Field Airport, basically subdividing that tract to allow Delaware Corporation to purchase it. As required by the code, this also ran in the paper, and that's pursuant to 15.2-1800. And the purpose of this public hearing is for the consideration of the sale of county-owned property. I've prepared a resolution outlining my understanding of the terms of the sale. You can see there that, the county originally obtained this property from the Hummels in 1970. It was a large tract of land. It's over the years had a little bit whittled down on it, but we're looking at still about 72 acres. And the proposal is to convey 1.569 of those acres to Delaware Corp. And you'll see in the third whereas, I kind of outline the terms. There is an interesting condition on the deed to this property. For so long as the county operates it as a public airport, and that's important, for so long as the county operates it as an airport, the property can only be used for aviation or recreational purposes. So you'll see, Kevin, you'll see in that first clause where I said that for so long as the property is used, it can be only aviation purposes. And then second, the sale is contingent upon the county and Delaware Corporation obtaining all necessary statutory and regulatory approvals to sell the property. That's a condition of the buyer. And that makes sense. There's going to have to be a site plan. There's going to have to be quite a few things that need to be reviewed within zoning and administratively as if it goes forward. Third, another condition provided by the buyer is that Delaware Corporation shall increase the width of the payment of I cannot talk tonight. The width of the pavement of Hummel Field Airport taxiway from the runway to the fuel pumps by 5 feet. And lastly, the agreed upon price is $15,000. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I was directed to this was sent to public hearing. I prepared a resolution based on the understanding as I've been made aware. I don't know if administration, Matt or Betty, have something to add as well, but to that, I turn it over to the board and we'll answer any questions.
Okay, I guess we'll do the process like we normally do, just, open up the public hearing on it. And then we'll close it, do like we normally do, and then we can have board respond.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, we invite the public to make public comment. Each speaker will be given the opportunity to speak during the regular meeting public comment period. And once during the public hearing public comment period, all comments will be addressed to the Board of Supervisors, not to the audience. If you have a microphone on your computer, you can present comments through your computer. There is a raise hand feature on your Zoom meeting screen that allows you to raise your hand and make public comments. The moderator or chairman can see you raise your hand, and then the microphone will be unmuted so that you can make comments. If you do not have a microphone and wish to make comments, you would have to call into the meeting using the information above. If you call in by phone to comment, you can press *9, which is the same as the raise hand feature on your Zoom screen, to let the moderator or chairman know that you wish to speak. When the chairman calls on you to press *6 to unmute your phone so you can make comments. You must identify yourself, and time limits, it's still at 3 minutes per person. At this time, Kevin, do you have anybody that on Zoom or either phone at this time? You see anybody that make a comment?
Mr. Chairman, I do not.
All right.
Mr.
Do we have
Chairman?
anybody?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we did receive a written comment that was asked to be read.
Okay, could you read that?
Yes. This is from Charles Kemp. Dear Board of Supervisors, I'm unable to attend the hearing tonight, but I wanted to briefly express my support for the runway improvements and the proposed hangars I read about in the Rappahannock Record. I'm a resident of Richmond, have a home in Irvington, and currently have 2 planes. With the extended runway and hangars, it would make it feasible for me to keep and operate my planes out of Hummel. The runway improvements also would make pilots comfortable to land at Hummel to visit the area attractions, or just have what pilots like to refer to as their $200 hamburger. Best regards, Charles.
Okay. All right. If we don't have anybody else, I would like to close the public comment period. And now at this time, open to the board. At this time, does the board have any questions on the sale of the property?
Yes, I have one, Mr. Chair. I do have one question. If we sell this land at certainly below normal price, do we have any guarantee that hangars will be built, which would then bring in revenue from tax?
Well, like I said, I can't answer that question right now. Like I'm saying, Heather, you got any information?
My answer to that is, Pete, no, sir. I mean, Oscar has said that he's going to do that, and the Delaware, he has Delaware Corp, and I have no doubt that's his intention. And it's included in his contract for the proposal. I wasn't directed to include that as a condition. If that's a condition that's so desired, then we can always add that.
I would think that you would want that in there. But by the way, I don't doubt that it will be used as for hangars, and I have every belief that everything will go smooth. But we are selling the property at below value, and the reason that we're selling it is because we definitely agree with the idea of putting in more hangars and bringing in more airplanes, which we can get some tax on. So I would think that you would want it in there, but I'm certainly no legal authority.
Well, to be clear, Pete, I have not been directed to negotiate or alter the terms of this arrangement. I was simply, when staff asked about that at the last meeting, the board was very clear. I've simply prepared the resolution outlining the terms as I've been made aware. So I don't disagree with you. It's just, those were not my marching orders. But we can amend the resolution to include that if you like.
As I say, I think it would be a good idea, but what does the rest of the board think?
I want to hear from the rest of the board. I know just by, talking to Oscar, he definitely, this is something that he's going to do. And I think, I can't speak for him, but he said that he had planes already sold, not sold, but ready to buy in house. But nothing is in writing, but, Any other board members would have to like to chime in?
I don't, this is Lud. I don't have any doubt whatsoever that the intent is to build hangars and that's going to be done because that's the only way any value can be obtained from purchasing the land. I would say that Mr. Barber, who I believe is attending, probably would not have any hesitation about including that in the resolution. And if we may, Mr. Chairman, perhaps we could ask him to respond to that. I do see that he's one of the attendees, but I don't see any reason not to include it. I think it's probably just something that we didn't think of prior to tonight.
Okay. Any other board member would like to say something? Well, we could, like you said, we could add it into the resolution of sale of the land.
Well, and just to clarify, also a point to highlight, though, I did include in the resolution that the property, for so long as it's used as a public airport, this parcel that's being sold can only be used for aviation purposes. So I don't know if that satisfies the board's concern there. I don't think there's a lot of other aviation purposes.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you on how the, the deed also says that, it had to be for aviation purposes.
Mm-hmm.
If the other board members wouldn't mind, I would ask Mr. Barber to respond. I think he's capable of doing that now, technically.
You say what, Lud? I couldn't quite hear you too good.
Oh, if the other board members are agreed, I would like to ask Mr. Barber just to respond. I see that he's been admitted to the meeting and probably could easily do that.
Oh, Oscar is there. Okay, I see him down at the bottom. Is it, like I say, I know since he wasn't, I don't know where he was at, but he just got on.
He may have to press *6 or *9. Kevin, can you advise?
He's on with computer, so let me ask him to unmute and see. He may have stepped away because he's a full panelist now. So it should have popped up something on his screen to ask him to unmute. So I don't know if he's there or if he stepped away from his computer.
*6 is if you're on the phone, Oscar. *9 if your computer. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Unfortunately, I can't turn his camera and microphone on. Actually, probably that's fortunate, but I'm not able to do that.
I for one am comfortable passing the resolution as it is because the property has to be used for
I-
airport related activity.
All right. Well, if you want to make a motion on that, John,
Yeah, I move that we adopt the resolution.
okay. We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Lud. We have a motion by John, probably second by Lud. Any more discussion? It's not roll call.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so carried. All right. Next, we have, I'm gonna write major site plan. It was submitted by Coombs, Bryant, and Johnson and Williams. All right, I guess that's Dave, right?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Does everybody see my sharing screen here? Hopefully they
Yes,
do.
we see it.
Okay, I see some nods. Okay, this is major site plan 2020-12 submitted by Kuntz, Bryant, Johnson, Williams on behalf of MHC Bethpage LLC. The application requests site plan approval to expand an existing campground in accordance with previously approved amended proffers. The property for which the approval is being sought is identified as those parcels there. And the general location is 679 Browns Lane, and it's in Urbana and located in the Saluda district. Just a brief narrative. You can see the just a couple site specifics with it. The current zoning is WC or waterfront commercial. And that's associated with proffers that were amended and approved. Surrounding land uses, it varies. We have some, of course, Robinson Creek's on the north and some residentially zoned properties, which are also zoned low density rural. East is primarily vacant property, that's low density rural. South is vacant, low density rural with a few structures and uses peppered in within that. And the west is vacant and residentially zoned LDR. This was the original map that was submitted with the proffer amendments and the rezoning. The original parcel was the main parcel where most of the development was zoned waterfront commercial several years, about 20 some odd years back with proffers. And those proffers were, of course, amended last year. Some additional parcels were added in, and a portion along Browns Lane were added in as waterfront commercial. The applicant or the engineer submitted this phasing plan. You can see the pinkish area is the area that we're concentrating on with this particular site plan. It includes a small area over towards Burles Marina Road. You can see that portion stemming that's headed kind of northwesterly. And this application includes the road and entrance improvements along Old Virginia Street. And this makes, I've highlighted this to kind of accent it. You can see the green area is that particular entrance improvement, and the yellow area would be the highlighted area, is the area that we're considering this evening. This is a detail of the area over in Burles Marina Road. If you look over in the lower left-hand corner, you're also going to see the improvements to the intersection of Town Bridge and Old Virginia Street, which was a proffered condition as well. So that particular proffer has been addressed with this particular insert and detail. This is a detail on the, this shows the entrance that's going to be located adjacent to the putt-putt and ice cream shop. You can see that the queuing lanes have been set up to accommodate that distance. There's quite a distance. It's probably roughly 500 to 600 feet back to that guard station. That'll be the check-in point. You can see you have several queuing lanes that will allow that traffic to stack. Also of note is the right turn lane on Old Virginia Street that's located in front of the ice cream shop. The areas highlighted depict some of the areas that were where the opaque buffer was to be located. There's also, in this next slide, there's also some buffering required along Burroughs Marina Road. That's depicted in this detail. These next slides show the details for the opaque buffering located adjacent to and parallel with Old Virginia Street and also behind the ice cream shop. Again, this shows the a little bit more detail behind the ice cream shop. This is the opaque buffer that specified. As you look to the bottom of the sheet, that's where eventually that buffer will continue in a north-southeasterly direction. At this time, they're not developing past that point, and that wooded area will be left natural until such time that they come back with a future phase that'll address that issue. This is the guardhouse that was submitted. This is a schematic of the elevation perspective of the guardhouse check-in point. Of course, we know the purpose of this request is to obtain site plan approval for an expansion of an existing campground. TRC met on January 27th, reviewed the plan, provided comments to the applicant's consultant. The Planning Commission issued preliminary site plan approval during their February 11th meeting. The plan has also been forwarded to VDOT, VDH, HRSD, and the town of Urbana for comments as well. Comments from all the above agencies have been received. VDOT and the town of Urbana provided their comments prior to the Planning Commission meeting. However, HRSD and VDH provided their comments post-Planning Commission meeting. So they were every bit of 60 days providing their comments, what made it tough on the engineer in this particular case. The plan entitled Bethpage Campground Resort prepared by Koontz Bryant Johnson Williams dated December 4th, 2020 has been reviewed and comments provided to the consultant. The consultant has since addressed the comments and provided responses to the comments with revised plans dated 2/24/2021. Once comments have been addressed, staff will route the revised plans to all interested agencies for final review. As we know, campgrounds are permitted use in waterfront commercial. That's the reason it was rezoned to this particular zoning district. Just to refresh the board, in March of 2020, the board approved amended proffers and rezoned several additional properties from LDR to WC. Site work consists of construction of entrance improvements, off-site road improvements, campsites, landscaping and associated infrastructure, including but not limited to water service, sewage disposal, stormwater management, and associated drainage improvements. Access to the site is currently located on Browns Lane. The existing entrance serving the ice cream shop located on Old Virginia Street will be improved to allow patrons with campers to enter and exit along that route rather than using the Browns Lane entrance. Proffers require a right turn lane, improvements to the intersection at Old Virginia Street, Town Bridge Road, and improvements to the main entrance. The right turn lane has been added to the plan pursuant to the proffers and VDOT comments. The Town Bridge Old Virginia Street improvements are depicted on the plan also. The Browns Lane entrance will still be used, but only for smaller vehicles and not for larger campers. and motorhomes. Lighting has been proposed with this. A photometric plan has been provided indicating compliance with Article 17C-2 requirements. An ENS plan has also been provided. That review is ongoing along with the site plan. This plan's also been forwarded to DEQ for stormwater management review. Currently, they're in that process of issuing final review for that. Site plan approval is subject to compliance of state stormwater regs and DEQ approval of the plans. Bay compliance will be achieved through by means of on-site BMPs and stormwater management. Parking is contained within each campsite. The ordinance doesn't specifically provide requirements for this, so it's basically just something that's addressed through the review process. Landscaping was a big component through all the board discussions with the applicant. They have depicted the landscaping, excuse me. It's shown on the existing condition sheet. Existing vegetation is, the landscaping plan is provided. One area that's been omitted at this time is area along Browns Lane, which is not going to be developed. So it was general consensus between staff and the developer and applicant and the planning commission that we not tear down an existing functioning buffer to try to create one at this time. They'll address that issue when they come forward. Staff was provided with a phasing plan that depicts the required buffers and landscaping areas. Since this plan appears to only address phase one at this time, future site plan submittals depicting the remaining landscaping will be required for additional build out. VDH comments have been received back. The consultant's currently addressing those. Usually VDH would be addressing on-site septic disposal. That's not going to be utilized in this case. That will be through HRSD, of course, the town for water supply. So VDH's comments were somewhat minor in this case. HRSD has provided comments. They've been received. Their final comments only came back to the engineer, I believe it was last Monday. So the engineer had to turn around these plans in about 2 days. So that was tough on them to address all the calculations and all the comments that they have. But they've been in contact with HRSD, and my understanding is they're satisfied many of the comments that they've had since that comment went out, since those comment letter went out. Also, the engineer will give additional descriptions on that as well. He'll be able to elaborate on where they're at with that. VDOT has provided their comments. The right turn taper, right turn lane was one of their comments, and that was addressed and sent back. The other comment dealt with speed limits, and that's easily addressable. No signage is proposed with this application. If it is, it will have to adhere to Article 16. Compliance with the buffers. Proffer P5 require landscaping and buffering, and is shown on the landscaping plan. Opaque buffering is specified on the plan as required by the proffers. The Browns Lane buffering will be addressed at the time the phasing will be constructed. Since existing wooded area along Browns Lane will remain for the time being, buffering is deemed adequate at this time. The entrance improvements to Old Virginia Street are being taken care of, along with the queuing that's being proposed to being able to accept the added traffic. Also, the improvements to Town Bridge and Old Virginia Street are shown. These are two items the board may have picked up. I may have talked with several members about it, but They weren't specifically addressed. Well, one of them is the active recreation area. That particular one will be addressed at a later time. The fact that they've left some of the space open satisfies P7. P8 and P9 were a little bit outside the general realm of what site plan review would take care of. These were board required programs and measures that ELS was supposed to come up with a plan for. They have provided a response to that. I will show that. When I provided my staff report or prepared it, there was no response to these two items. So ELS provided this, I received this morning. It says golf carts can be reserved at any time of site reservation or prior to check-in by calling the property. Numbers listed, and then it goes on to describe it a little bit more in the detail. It says, also makes a notation that many of the property owners in the adjoining areas were complaining about golf carts leaving the property. They've made a notation in their golf cart regulations. And also this particular comment was provided this morning, deals with the boat ramp in Robinson Creek. The board may want to discuss these two proffers later on. I can come back and bring them up. In conclusion, staff recommends preliminary approval of major site plan 2020-12 conditioned upon the following, excuse me, final approval from all review agencies, including but not limited to VDOT, Virginia Department of Health, Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, the town of Urbana, and HRSD shall be issued prior to final site plan approval. Planning Commission also voted 8-0 with 2 absent and 1 abstention to recommend preliminary approval of this site plan with the conditions listed below. This site plan is fairly lengthy. It's a long staff report. You probably may have read through some of it. It's staff feels comfortable taking the site plan the rest of the way. It's pretty customary to have some comments. So I wouldn't, it might not be unusual, but the applicant may have to submit actually several submittals to finally get all the everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed, so to speak. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it over to the board for discussion and to open up public hearing. The applicant does have several representatives here tonight that would wish to speak on this application. So you may give them an opportunity to voice their or describe the project.
Okay, will do. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hand. All right, the chairman would invite the public to make public comments. Each speaker will be given the opportunity to speak during the regular meeting public comment period. And once during the public comment here period, all comments will be addressed to the Board of Supervisors, not to the audience. If you have a microphone on your computer, you can present comments through your computer. There is a raise hand feature on the Zoom meeting screen that allows you to raise your hand to make public comment. The moderator or chairman can see you raise your hand, and then the microphone will be unmuted so that you can make comments. If you do not have a microphone and wish to make comments, you would have to call to the meeting and using the same information above. If you call in by phone to comment, you press *9, which is the same as the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen, to let the moderator or chairman know that you wish to speak. When the chairman calls on you to speak, press *6 to unmute your phone so you can make your comments. You must identify yourself, and at this time, a limit of 3 minutes is in place. At this time, if the presenters would like to make a comment at this time, you can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is Greg Davis. I'm an attorney in Williamsburg. It's a pleasure to appear before you again. I represent the applicant, Equity Lifestyle Systems, MHP Bethpage. Fortunately, lawyers don't have to handle site plan approval too much. It's too technical for us. But with us tonight is Mr. Mark Williams of Coons Bryant, the engineering firm who's worked with Mr. Kretz on the plan. And so I'll quickly step aside and ask Mr. Williams to chime in and offer some introduction and respond to your questions. And then, of course, I'm here to respond if needed as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, at this time, like I said, we don't have anybody speak. I'm gonna close the public hearing, and then we're gonna open it up to the board for questions. All right. At this time, do we have any questions for the board? I'd like to ask some questions to Greg Davis or anybody.
Mr. Chairman, did we open it up for the public to speak? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you ask.
Oh, yeah, I jumped it. I'm letting them, oh, yeah, I got to open up to the public. Okay. And I'm
No, it's fine to let the
It's been a
applicant.
long day,
go ahead
yeah.
and speak.
Kevin, do we have anybody that wish to speak?
I'm looking out at the panel and at the attendees. I do not see anyone using the hand raise feature at this time.
You don't see anybody?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for keeping me straight, Heather. Been a long day.
I know it has, no worries, thank you. I just want to make
Right.
sure.
I just jumped over that part of it. I'm getting into the weeds of this now. Okay, now I'm gonna open it up to the board for questions. Do you have any questions for Greg Davis?
I do.
All right.
Hi, Mr. Davis. Good to see you again. I'm so glad this project is moving along. I am curious whether what we just saw with regard to P8 and P9 about golf carts and no wake zone, is that all ELS is proposing in response to those proffers, is just basically a policy notice? Or I remember the conversation about those two issues, and I would think that something much more robust would be in order.
Right, Mr. Kimbrough. The answer is no, that's not all of the program. Mr. Kretz was, I think, attentive to raise that issue as we prepared for the meeting tonight. We talked about it just this week. These are the signs that my client has ordered already to be posted. But as you explained, my client and I and the engineering firm anticipate a more robust program. We have to look at website content, placement of signs, brochures, et cetera, that bring us into compliance with those two proffers.
Great, thank you.
Does any other board member have any questions?
Yeah, I was noticing that the entry gate has significant overhead structure. Is that akin to a toll, like an easy pass? Is there something that reads the cars so that they can go through more quickly?
And that's a Mark Williams question from the engineering firm. Mark, can you chime in there?
Booth between each of the lanes that is manned.
You're faint there, Mark. Can you get closer to the mic?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, now that's better.
All right, so there'll be booths that are going to be manned in addition to electronic devices for regular people who visit the park, where they'll have the ability to have an electronic device that notifies that who they are and that they're authorized to be there. And then individuals that don't have that are not regular visitors will be able to check in with manned personnel at each booth. And there's
Mark, was there a study done based on past participants or guests in terms of how long it takes them at the gate? Because you're expanding, I think, from 1 to maybe 3 bays, but you're shortening the length to Virginia Street substantially. Was there a study done, and did it include expanded capacity? And I mean, are we guaranteed that you're not going to back up onto Virginia Street?
Yes, during the original zoning case that was analyzed, that's where the 450-foot dimension came into play with the, projected number of maximum vehicles coming in and the time it takes to queue them through. With this phase one proposal, the way the proffers were originally written, it required, I believe, 2 450-foot queuing lanes. We're constructing all 3 with this first phase, just to avoid having to do expansions in the future of the entrance. So we certainly don't anticipate any queuing issues. There's, like I said, there's 3 incoming lanes, and then the distance is 450 feet. And that 450 feet is from the entrance to the creamery, not to Virginia Street. So, you have an additional, 200 feet or so to Virginia Street. So it's quite a bit of room for stacking.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any other board members that would like to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to question the expansion of the Virginia Street at Townbridge Road, that intersection. I think that we saw it just a few minutes ago, but I didn't get a chance to look at it at that time.
Sure. So that right now there's an island, a concrete island with signage in the middle of that intersection, and it prevents RVs, particularly RVs that are pulling trailers with boats, from adequately making that turn. So we're removing the island and adjusting the return, and then we ran a program to analyze an RV, to simulate an RV pulling a boat, to make sure it can adequately make that turn without impacting other traffic movements. And those improvements are shown on that sheet.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I just moving things around. Do any other board members have anything to say? If not,
I've got one, Mr. Chairman.
yes,
I noticed that the buffering is a single row and only 10 feet wide. And if you recall, we've been kind of burned on buffering of that nature on our some of our solar farms. We talked about 25 feet at one point, and I now notice that we're only talking 10 feet.
So the 10-foot, and also one of the attendees is Aaron Schwartz. He's with LPDA, who is the landscape architectural firm that prepared the landscape sheets. I don't know if he has the ability to speak, but the 10-foot buffers are the internal buffers inside the site between the RV campgrounds and the active recreation areas. There's additional buffering along Virginia Street. And then in the future, once the phase 3 and 4 is when we progress into those phases, there'll be buffering along Browns Lane. Right now, there's a large wooded area, so we're trying to preserve those woods as long as possible.
We understand that you're going to leave at least 25 feet in that wooded area.
Oh yeah, it's I think 100 and something feet now. Yeah, it's going to remain fully wooded until we get to phase 3.
Well, thank you very, very much, Mr. Williams. I think you've answered my questions.
all right, has all the answers been answered from the applicants? So if it is, okay, at this time, do we have a motion to approve the major site plan 2020-12 from MHC Bethpage LLC?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Pete Mansfield. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Reginald Williams. We have a motion been properly second. At this time, is there any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Aye.
Mr. Jesse.
Aye. Motion so carried. All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
you're welcome. I guess at this time, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion by
Emphatically.
John. Do we have a
Mr.
second?
Chairman, you have another public comment period.
Oh, we do? Hey, you know, I'm ready to go home.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm ready to get out of here. All right, yeah, let me open this other. Oh, we do?
Yes, sir. It's on the agenda, number 12.
Yeah, it
public
is. It's at the bottom. Hey, it's been a long day. I'm ready to go home. I've been sitting here since 9:30.
I understand. I
We came
understand.
back. All right, okay. At this time, I'm gonna hit a public hand. Let me go over this thing again. Chairman, we invite the public to make a public comment. Each speaker will be given the opportunity to speak during the regular meeting, public comment period, and once during the public hearing period. And all comments will be made addressed to the Board of Supervisors, not the audience. If you have a microphone on your computer, you can present comments through your computer. There is a raise hand feature on the Zoom meeting stream that allows you to raise your hand to make a public comment. The moderator or chairman can see your hand raised and the microphone will be unmuted so that you can make comments. If you do not have a microphone and wish to make comments, you would have to call into the meeting using the information above. If you call in by phone to comment, you can use the *9, which is the same as the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen to let the moderator or chairman know that you wish to speak. When the chairman calls on you to press *6, unmute your phone so that you can make comments. You must identify yourself, and the time limit is 3 minutes per person. Kevin, do we have anybody that wish to speak?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Hallelujah. All right, public comment is closed, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Lud, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Reginald Williams. Motion probably second. Any more discussions? If not, roll call.
Mr. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Mansfield,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.